And we're live. What's up, Kevon? Nice to have you here.
Pleasure to be here, man. Thanks for having me, guys.
Of course, my dude.
Anytime.
Pump there.
You know, you and I have been friends for 6 years now.
Yeah, about 6 years, 7 years.
It's been an interesting ride. I saw like a old Instagram video that I posted a long time ago. That had you and I playing around with the steel clubs, and
Yeah.
boy, has it come a long way.
We have evolved, huh?
Yeah, man, it's been an interesting ride for sure.
So I know that we haven't been boys that long, but we're part of the Equinox community, and I know that back when I started, I had connected with you a few times, and I know during the education portion, doing some stuff out in your area when you were at your Equinox, seeing and hearing about you, and then how I met Josh definitely was a great thing, because comparing to how things were back then to seeing how we've all grown now, it's just really interesting to see the different paths and the different types of growth that we've all taken. But yet we all came from that same Equinox community, different clubs, but still in that community, and just learning from one another. And I think it's just really interesting to see that growth within like a 5-6 year window.
Yeah, around there.
So for me, it's just pretty interesting. And then to know, the things you're doing now, is really cool. So, I would love to know more about that transition phase of Equinox to what you're doing now, and knowing that you've been Equinox for longer than we have, and the level of success that you've had there. How have you been able to transfer that success, that experience, that knowledge, move it over independently, and continue to grow?
For sure, man. I mean, just to start off, I think Equinox is a great platform for trainers to kind of build their skill set, learn from others. It definitely has a community of a lot of skilled coaches. And, as far as I go, I was a trainer at first, did EFTI, and that's where I was coaching and doing the more of the development side of trainers is really what I love. I think a lot of people in my life were mentors from the college game to just interns that I had and trainers or gyms that I worked for, So I learned a lot that way, and I felt like I always wanted to give back to trainers and kind of give them that skill set to grow so that they could be successful in the business, because as we all know, it's not an easy business.
It's not.
Absolutely not.
And then, that led me from being a master instructor to getting into the management side of things, which is a whole nother world. But, at the time at South Beach with Josh, I think we both had two managers that were completely different. I would say one manager was more of like probably the science guy, the anatomy stuff, things that we really, really loved and enjoyed. Rest in peace to Mario, And, that was my kind of influence to get into the development side and being a manager, So it was more about just a learning curve, learning how to deal with people, learning how to develop them, what makes them tick, what's their why really behind their goal. And I think if you wake up every day and you kind of think about the person's livelihood, and I think whatever you do, especially in our industry, I think that's going to shoot you forward, And that's kind of helped me with my transition now, Now I'm just kind of running an independent business. I have a few opportunities on the table, joining forces with some people, so I'm excited about that. And then I'm really just trying to make an impact in the fitness industry and in the world, pretty much on an online approach. Now that I have a little bit more time, it's been great to, be home and kind of just dial in and focus in on what I really want to do for longevity and for the future.
I mean, I know, kind of going back to what you said about, having that passion for the educational side of fitness and of health, right? Like I know personally, you and I have had many conversations, one-on-one about this, but I know I wouldn't be where I am today without you. You really opened my eyes to the difference between, because you used to train athletes as well, just like I did.
Mm-hmm.
So you knew firsthand how different it is training, these physical specimens to then going to, general population people who could be all over the place, right? You could have some people who are extremely fit and extremely knowledgeable about their own body and how they move, but there's plenty of people who know absolutely nothing, and are honestly just taking a guess at every step that they take.
Yeah,
For
for sure.
And coming out of grad school from that athletic and even powerlifting side of things, I mean, you remember I wouldn't touch anything but a barbell.
100%.
Nothing. Nothing. Bench squat, deadlift, I might do some curls or maybe a little shoulder press, but that was it. That was it. No cardio, no nothing. And at first I could definitely tell that my business suffered because of it. Just like a lot of people on South Beach where we were at, they didn't want powerlifting. They didn't want to do that. You had a couple of people, some dudes that are just like, fuck it, I want to, really hit it hard. But for the most part, it's just people that wanted to move well, wanted to feel well, wanted to look better, So you cracked the whip early on in my career and said, listen, man, that's not the way that you're going to be successful, especially not here, and really opened up my eyes on how to, analyze the body in a different way, where it wasn't so much about the performance measures, but about, the emotional side of things as well, right? How people felt when they were walking around with whatever, limitations or injuries they may have, and how we can improve on that. But also, the communication side of things on what's the best way to approach certain type of people, and what's the best way in order to get your message across without someone feeling either, attacked or feeling like they have always been doing the wrong thing, So where did that shift in mindset happen for you, where you said, okay, I'm done training athletes, and now I really need to focus on a whole different aspect of training, which is general population?
Yeah, I mean, some of my philosophies that I believe in is that the human body was meant to move, We're all meant to be some type of athlete, whether that is running, biking, triathlete, sports, or just like your weekend warrior. You know what I'm saying? I think everybody loves playing sports and they love moving around. It's a different feeling than being under load or in the gym training all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the main things I realized is that recovery and helping people get out of injury or get out of pain is what was going to kind of set me apart. And honestly, I didn't really recognize that until some people kind of brought it to my attention. Like one of my mentors that I had that owns Primal Fit here in Miami, Matt Pack.
We had Matt in here.
Yeah. Dude, that's my boy, man. Good people, always been good. To me, he's like one of the representations that you want to see in the industry.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? And he kind of opened my eyes to that. Like, yo, what are you reading? Like, yo, when are you going to get rid of that trap bar, that barbell, come touch these clubs or something else. And it was kind of a foreign modality for us to use. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of felt that once I learned the things that he was doing just in the system and the recovery and things like that, that was going to help your business flourish. There's a difference from you. Like, yeah, you can bodybuild, train somebody and kick their butt, but can they come back and repeat it event after? You know what I'm saying? So I think like just building the person's overall work capacity is important. And just like you said, the way that they feel, I think with you, you came in with the science in the background and you understood training, you understood energy systems, you understood nutrition. It was just like you came from a world that was built around athletes, you know what I'm saying? And athletes, for the most part, they're whatever you give them, they're going to do. Some like it, some don't like to train. They just like to play their sport kind of. But
a lot of them,
all right? They don't even want to train. Mm-hmm. But when you're in the environment of like a big box gym, like an Equinox per se, you definitely got to step your game up in as far as like building your skill set outside of your norm, and I think that kind of helps you go a long way. I mean, who doesn't want to feel good and be able to perform year in, year out,
No, definitely. I think that's very important. I appreciate you, sharing that transition phase you had of, from what you knew about training and then moving into this introductory, being informed with, the newer knowledge and with Matt Pack and stuff like that. So, something that I really want to know on your end is what was the transition like from those clients that you had that might have been accustomed to the style of training that you were doing for when you then transitioned into that newer style and started implementing newer modalities and other methods in there? How was that transition, and what was your clients' responses on that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, like Josh said, I wanted to work with athletes. I worked with athletes, graduated with the X-Science degree, and that led me to kind of doing some interns along the way. And one of the places that I worked at it was a sports science place called P3, and I saw that the way that they were running their program is like, you know, you're gonna give this person a bench press and a lunge, whatever it is, right? And then at the end of it, they would add like some type of corrected drill in there as their active recovery. So when I transitioned into working into a space where I was dealing with sedentary lifestyle individuals, you know, they don't really want to do any of that mobility corrective work. They don't care for that. You know, they want to get big and buff so they can go on the beach in their bikini, you know what I'm saying, shirt off and flex.
Especially here in Miami.
Especially here in
Flex these muscles, huh?
Flex here in the city, you know? So you kind of got to learn how to like sneak that stuff in, you know? And I think that's the most important key right there is really sneaking in, because what do you see a client maybe 3 times a week, 2 times a week, some 4, but at the end of the day, it's still not enough to really create change as far as like mobility goes, you know, or getting them out of pain. So pretty much just constantly sneaking that into the set in their rest break instead of them on their phone texting, scrolling Instagram, you know how it goes. That kind of helped them, you know, learn what we're trying to do, and then actually they felt better, you know. And I think that's the main part of it, is just kind of getting the person to understand like, hey, this is a process, it's a journey, and, you know, the more we do this, the better we are. And then, yeah, we can get back to you squatting, you know, 5 plates on your back or whatever it is that they may want, you know.
So would you say it was easier coaching those current clients you had adjusted to the original way you were training into the new style, or was it more challenging bringing in new clients into that new style for you?
I think I would say at the Equinox on South Beach, I think I kind of developed a reputation for the guy that kind of like can help you get out of pain or stretching and things like that. So,
You're absolutely that guy for sure.
you know, I think even when I first started, you know, that was my go-to special event. That's what I used, stretching, you know. And I don't think they were too fond of that, to be honest. But I think, you know, it was 2 things in my mind. I was like, all right, if I get them on the table and I get them to feel good, I can pop off and ask them a million questions. Just peel back the onion. They can't run away from me. Whereas the person's on the treadmill, they're like, yeah, I don't want to talk to you right now. You know what I'm saying? And then the other part of it was I was able to get them out of pain or feel good. So that kind of allowed me to make that connection with them and then build that reputation. And then I think over time, people would see that in a session, and then they were like, hey, how do I get some of that?
I think too, you know, I mean, you just mentioned it, right? Like, I've always had the mentality, like, if I can get my hands on you metaphorically, right? Like, if I can get in front of you and get to work with you and get you to understand really how the body's supposed to work and how we're supposed to move and the thought process that you're supposed to have behind training, even if I'm never going to train you, like getting you to understand like the setup of a real workout and what that really looks like, what a quality warm up might look like, what a quality cool down and decompression might look like. You know, how to get in a decent amount of volume and quality and intensity with a short amount of time of actually training. Yeah. You know? Mm-hmm. And where did that confidence come from? Like the ability to just have the confidence to be able to go up to someone and be like, listen, I can work with you. I know that I'm going to be able to help you out. Like where did that stem from? I mean, a lot of it I understand is preparation, right? Like having the ability to go through and understand that, like, no matter the population, I got a little something that's going to work for you. You know, a lot of that comes in with the amount of reading that you said you were doing. And I know you and I have taken a lot of certs. We've gone to, you know, Onnit Academy, for example, and taken a lot of stuff. Shout out to the OA.
Oh, yeah.
Boom.
You know, was there a specific moment like you had with that flip of the switch from training athletes to general population? Was there something where you said, you know, like, I got something here, you know, like this is really something that I know I can bring a lot of value into other people's lives?
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, I think the main turning point for me was when I took a certification called fascial stretch therapy. And it kind of just allowed me to look at the body more as a whole instead of like breaking pieces up. You know what I'm saying? Because the body doesn't move like that, right? It moves as one system due to like the fascial system that we have.
I've heard that from someone before.
So that kind of just allowed me to like, okay, now that I have the person in front of me, you know, you can kind of assess every single day and see if things are changing. Like, do they still have this upper cross syndrome, or is it improving? Is their hip mobility improving, you know? And you could just tell, you know, I used to always tell all my trainers all the time, like, just watch people walk down the block in front of you and see how much dysfunction you see in the body. You know what I'm saying? People are walking with the craziest swag, just shoulder dipping.
Makes my eyes bleed sometimes.
But that's just the norm, right? We follow the path of
least resistance.
And that's just what our bodies do. From the time we were born to now, we created those dysfunctions ourselves. So I think that was kind of the turning point. It kind of allowed me to just know that the system that I was using on the table was going to work for people and heal them. But then I could also do things within our 1 hour of time. And that's funny you say that, because like in a comp session, you're trying to give the person as much value as possible, but you're also trying to give them what they want and what they need. So if the person's like, hey, I want to get a bigger chest, like you're like, all right, here we go. We're gonna old school, bench press, superset it with some push-ups and just crush them. But hey, why don't you come on the floor and do this drill too, and let's put it together and see how you feel the next set. And giving them that little bit of sprinkle on to allow them to kind of feel that.
I've got to say, from everything that I'm hearing, it's like you did an amazing job at creating this own success for yourself, because something that really, from all of this, that really highlights for me and for all the individuals listening for sure, is and that they can learn from, is at Equinox especially, and while working there, you found a hole in the market for yourself 100%. That you can fill, and you really niched yourself out. And I think that's a big part of why you're able to really ramp yourself up and get all these clients and be able to, push forward in the industry and grow. And it's amazing because the way you're speaking about it, the way, people who knew you and knew that this is what Kevon is doing, this is what he delivers, you set yourself apart from everybody else, and I think it's important for people to know this, because I feel like we live in the fitness world, and it's so saturated, and a lot of professionals have a hard time knowing how to identify themselves and being able to see who they can solve a problem for out in the fitness market, and they go out here trying to do everything. And I think something that is important to know is that we're not here to serve everybody.
100%.
And if you go out there with a mentality of serving everybody, you ain't gonna serve anybody.
Yeah, 100%. There's a lot of people to serve.
There are.
There's tons of people to serve. I mean, I really appreciate that. I think that's something that, like, you hear, like, oh, create your own niche, or what's your ideal client? You know what I'm saying? People say, and that's kind of hard to like differentiate, especially when you first start or you're trying to like build business, because you're like, yo, I need to make money too. And I think that's probably like a scary approach, because you're just gonna go to what you know, even though you might have learned some good stuff from like a meeting or something like that, or with another trainer. You're like you don't really want to try that new thing, because you're like, I just got to give them what they want, because you're trying to get the sale. But I think that once you live in that uncertainty area and you're just confident in what you can lay out for them, then they'll have that confidence in you and they'll believe in you, and that bond will come stronger. I have some clients that were very severely injured, and they're training now, and they have the best posture, or little things, you know what I'm saying, where they feel so much better now. So I think we all have our different niches that we can find, you know what I'm saying, or our specialties, or things that we're really, really good at. And both of you definitely, have shown that through your skill set and through your careers, and branching out even to more things, and I'm really inspired by that. And that's what it's about. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're supposed to keep growing and learning. Like, if you're not learning and you're not growing, you're dying.
Yeah, exactly. You got to be comfortable being uncomfortable.
100%.
100%. If you really want to progress in life and you want to make a big positive change for yourself, like, that doesn't come from staying inside of this box that everyone is telling you that you're the best and that you're the greatest gift to earth, and this is exactly what you need to be doing. Like, okay, maybe I need to do that, but I also want to be doing other things. Yeah,
for sure.
Especially in today's, with everything that's going on, I think business wise, like, you need to have your hands in a multitude of different aspects of, even within fitness, right? Like, there's podcasting like this, right? There's one-on-one training, small group training, big group training, online training. Even within that, like, personalized online training, more like what I do, which is, just like standardized cut workouts for the majority of people to be able to handle. There's so many different ways in which you can monetize things and, make your life better, make your family's life better. Because Mendez and I have talked about this many times so far in the podcast. For some reason in the fitness industry, like, there's this negative connotation with making money, you know, compared to like, oh, I need to make it all about helping people. Yeah. It's like, yeah, but you need to help yourself too, you know, like you said, well, what's my ideal client? Like my ideal client is a client that pays on time every time.
Yeah.
You know, because that keeps me motivated. It keeps them motivated because they just bought another package. They're not going anywhere for another month or 2 months or whatever it may be, you know. What's your take on that? You know, because I do believe that there is a balance between like being a money grubbing asshole and being someone that like virtue signals that they're only there to help people and like, oh, I'll give you all this stuff for free. I mean, we saw it all the time during the lockdown, right? Like how many people were giving hundreds of workouts every week for free?
Not just workouts, but literally like
programs.
30 to 90 day programs for free. Download the Excel on my link, full out templates, videos, and I was like, holy shit.
Man, that's how it is, man. I think that's to me, honestly and truly, like I get it. Like I always say this too, like, there's certain parts of the world where you take a board certification, like in Canada. If you have a cert, you still have to take like their cert to become a personal trainer, you know, like, and I think that's important. Like, you know, a lawyer has to go take the bar, a doctor has to take their exam, you know what I'm saying? Like they have to be certified by the country of where they serve people, you know? And I think for the fitness industry, we get kind of like, oh yeah, I don't need a trainer. Like, you know, I could do this on my own. And then the person's living in pain or they're just doing the same workout since like 1980, you know? And to me, I'm just like, damn, you're still doing the same shit.
Or my doctor said.
Or my doctor said, you know? So I think like you're 100% right. Like, yo, you spent the money to go and take certifications. You spent the money to get a degree. You spent the money to have the experience and work in the trenches at, you know, different locations or whatever it is to learn. Like, of course you should get, you know, compensated for that. Like, to me, that's ridiculous. Like, if your car breaks down and you don't know how to, you know, fix it, you take the car to a mechanic, right? They're the expert. So in the industry, we're the expert, you know what I'm saying? And I think that needs to change to a common ground. I'm not saying that it's not changing, but like you said, the industry is so saturated, and that's why you get these people that are monetizing online with the same program for you, me, and Josh. You know what I'm saying? That if we all have a similar goal, right? And it's just like, damn, like how do you you know, weed yourself out of that? You know, and I think that's a frustrating part for us in the business. Hopefully, in the future, something like that will change.
I've got to say that, you know, with all that stuff going on and like you were saying, all this stuff that, you know, how do you weed yourself out of those things that you see and the things happening? And I think at the end of the day, man, when it comes to that, it's going to be based off personality. You know, it's going to be based off, you know, who you are as a person. Being likable. Exactly. And I just truly feel that that's where the decision making at the end of the day will be. And I think, of course, too, like, you know, if the person, you know, connects with you and, you know, sees this type of stuff that you're posting or the type of content that you're putting out there, they can read your how genuine you are, your credibility and all that stuff. And I think that when it comes down to on social media, at least when you see this stuff, I think the way that you go about your posting and the way that you go about your storytelling and the way that you go about the content you deliver, that's going to be the decision maker for these people about even maybe not downloading that free product from somebody else and maybe working with you because they just connect with you and they like who you are and they just said, no, this is the person for me. They're speaking to me, right. You know? So I think to cut through those weaves, I think that's going to be one of the ways to really start breaking that in, to be able to break through that and being able to start getting a return for all the stuff you know, build, your search, your education, and start really getting paid for it. And also too, like, I think when you start dealing with a certain group of people, like you were saying, like, you know, like Josh was saying, you know, we are a business too. And at the end of the day, let's say your ideal client also too needs to pay, you know? Yeah. So you want people that can pay, people that are serious, that are go-getters, that are motivated. And I think also too, that'll kind of weed out like, okay, this is free this long. Well, you could tell who's not completely serious, who is when somebody pays for something. Yeah. And then that accountability factor kicks in. Mm-hmm. And honestly, those are the people that you want to bring in. Yeah. You know, those are the ones that are going to be serious about it. And it's not knocking off people who are downloading free stuff. It's just more of how far you want to get in what you're doing and the quality of what you're getting. Well, then, you know, that's where that factor is going to kick in. Yeah, you know, so 100%. For me, that's what I think. where we need to start paying attention to.
Yeah, I mean, I think both of you have done an excellent job on the social media platform, and I'm just kind of modeling that, that pathway of it. But I remember, like, even me and you having chats in the locker room about, like, strength coaches back then. I don't know what year that was.
2015, 16, probably, somewhere around there. Fucking long time ago.
It wasn't. When we were doing interns and working with strength coaches, they ain't posting. They're not posting anything.
Him and I joke about that all the time. Him and I had that conversation like 5 years ago. He's telling me, "Oh, you gotta post. You gotta film your workouts and post them on Instagram." Instagram had people who are listening to this podcast heard this like 10 times already. But when Instagram had 15-second videos, him and Luis Medel were like, "Oh, you got to be filming your workouts on your phone and posting them on Instagram." I'm like, fuck you, bro. Like, that sounds lame as hell. I'm here to train some people. Yeah. Like, this shit, like, I don't even want to be on Instagram. What is Instagram? Like a bunch of girls posting naked photos pretty much? Like, nah, that's not for me. Fast forward to 5 years, 250,000 followers later. Look who the idiot was.
I know. Should follow those footsteps, bro.
Yeah, no shit. And now when he says something, I'm like, okay, man, all right, perfect. We're going to do it.
Now, I'm going to tell you guys, it's one of those things, too, where I think we talked about in the Matt Pack podcast, where there's a lot of big fitness leaders who were the staple of the industry for years, since the 90s, 2000s, coming up, so ones that are sticking around and have the huge foundational educational platforms that set up all these, levels of growth for other professionals. And I think what you're seeing also, too, is you go on their Instagrams, and you're like, who the hell is this person? Let's say somebody who's a new fitness trainer. Who's this guy? Because the problem is there's two problems. There's that whole social proof now, where it could be a good thing and a bad thing. A bad thing where this person just, got all these followers, build it up. Why? Because they presented themselves a certain way and this and that. And you know what? Maybe they don't deliver shit. Maybe they're not that good. Maybe they don't keep themselves educated. And that's not good. But guess what? Their social proof shows they make you think that they're this big level thing where maybe they're not. But then on the other side, you got the big dogs, the true educators, the leaders, where they're not paying attention to where people are paying attention to. Right. And then it's kind of like, I think that's another place where they can, it's like, okay, I got all this down. Let me put my foot a little bit. At least let me pay attention to some of these platforms and get myself out there. And not only that, but be relatable. And post real content. Because sometimes you see where it's like, well, when the SCAP does this and this does that, and it's all this technical stuff and all these, language that, the language that regular people are not going to understand. It's just like, be you, also showcase your lifestyle, tell your stories, be relatable, like, be genuine, like, just be you. And I think when you start doing that, as a top level professional, then you're going to see ultimate growth. And then you can speak out your true education in other ways and be able to start getting a true following, and then shift the narrative of, okay, well, because he has all these followers, he's better than you. No, he's not. But you have to still, in a way, in the world we live in, knowing that there's that social proof, in a way, you have to start building up something for yourself so you can stay relevant. Same thing when the internet came out. If back then, people who jumped on the internet ASAP, look now.
Bezos, Jeff Bezos,
You have to
Shout
stay
out
relevant.
Bezos, man. He
Everyone
went to my
call
high school.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
No shit.
Palmetto.
Wow, that's
Gotta
unreal.
claim that every time I hear his name.
That's unreal. But I mean, look at him. Like, everyone was shitting on him for selling books. Like, oh, what dumbass is selling books on the internet, And now he's not only selling books, he's selling literally everything. Anything. He's taken over the market.
And he's creating opportunities for others. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's both sides he's winning.
Yeah. But I think that the whole thing about social proof, right, and the way that we communicate and the way that we try to make ourselves seem smart or intelligent. I mean, we've all seen it in the gym with trainers who come in and really they don't have the plethora of knowledge that we have. And it's so easy to tell who those trainers are, right? Because one, they start talking very fast like this, and they're trying to word vomit out so that the person who's listening to them can't really comprehend what they're saying, and then they throw in these big words like, oh yeah, when your scapula upwardly rotates, and then you protract in this position before you do people you're gonna lose everyone. You just like when I would hear that, you lost me, and I know what you're talking about.
Exactly.
You know,
you're like, hold on, man, back that up.
You know, and I learned a lot of this from you, Kevon. You know, is like there are two languages that we have in the field. You know, there's the scientific language that we need to use within each other, because if we don't use it within each other, then the field gets watered down, right? Which is kind of what we've seen already, where now you have a bunch of trainers who don't even know what a scapula is. You know, you have a bunch of trainers that don't know what the joint actions are of the body, yet they're trying to get these people to do these complicated lifts like snatches and cleans and, you know, complicated flows and burpees. And that's not healthy either, right? So we need to have that health and fitness language among us so that we can continue to elevate the field, right? And we can continue to learn more about the body and learn more about communication, right? Because the more that we talk to each other in that way, the easier it's going to be for us to find little nuanced conversations that we can, you know, then water it down for our clients and make it into more of a, you know, normalized conversation for them, right? Where we don't have to use these big words or these big terms and these big phrases, and we're able to kind of allow them to understand in simplicity, right? So there's that, you know, very complex communication that we need to have with each other, right? And then there's the watered down simplistic version that we need to give to other people. But if you don't have a great understanding of how to use scientific language, you're never going to be able to relate to the variety of people that you probably are going to work with. You know, you might be able to, like you were saying, like have that one niche where everything you tell that one select group of people, right, they're always going to understand. But what happens when you step outside that group of people? What happens when you go from working with, you know, 40, 50-year-old dudes that still like to bodybuild, and now you're working with a housewife? You know, she's not going to understand the same way that you communicate to these like bodybuilder fanatics that, you know, a mom in her 40s who's got 3 kids and, you know, doesn't give a shit about that, just wants to lose weight. She's not gonna relate to what you're telling her. So the concepts that we still need to rely on remain the same, you know, but the way that we communicate it to different types of populations is going to be widely different.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think you hit it on the head right there. I mean, simplicity is key. And I think the more that you're in the industry and you're really understanding your craft, the easier it is to deliver that information to the person in front of you, you know? I mean, again, we were meant to do those movements. We were meant to move a certain way. We just kind of lost the ability along the way, you know, whether that's injuries, whether it's just non-activity. I mean, I'm down to do all the cool shit, but we got to learn how to squat right. You know, there's population in our world that can't even do push-ups and pull-ups right. Like, and that's like a basic movement. If you can't do that, then you're not going to be able to do anything else. You know what I'm saying? So I think simplicity is key. Making sure that you make the person understand that, like, yo, I'm just doing this and breaking it down this way for you so that you can understand. You know, maybe they come from a golfing background. Maybe they like to play tennis. Maybe the mom, the stay-at-home mom, she likes to do gardening and things like that. Okay, let's put her in those positions and show her why we're doing it so that when she goes back in her garden, she's like, yo, Coach K, I actually felt that, man. It was different. My back didn't hurt. I felt like I was more stable. You know, I was able to engage my core, whatever that may be.
Love it, man. No, you're definitely right. And I want to ask you, just because I'm curious, Kevon, where do you feel, personal opinion, where do you feel that that there's a gap that needs to be filled in the fitness industry? And what do you think it is that needs to happen for that gap to be filled?
That's a good one.
Make sure you say the right thing, or everyone's gonna eviscerate you in the comments. So make sure you say the right thing. Dude. Tread lightly. Tread lightly.
Come on, I want all the smoke. Bring it. I think for one, you know, I think that the education is starting to come out a little bit more. You know, there's a lot more people like us and that are really pushing the educational side of things. I think that over time, hopefully we can come up with some type of some type of like board cert or something like that would kind of make us a little bit more credible, you know.
Which I've heard of that a few times already mentioned. I know, but these certs make so much money that
the certificate. And you know what? I found out too that, you know, there was a point where I was like with another colleague of mine thinking about even, you know, building a certification. Like, yo, you don't need anything. It's not like the person that's actually, the requirements for the certification that you need, they're not like checking like, oh, you didn't have this, you didn't have this. They just want a product that's broken down and structured that you can present and teach others. That's it. There's no like any type of like restrictions or what you have to have and what you can't have, So I think back to your question, I think that, something like that needs to happen. And I also feel that hopefully people will understand that there's a certain rate or going rate for personal training, because I feel that varies so much in our industry, whether it's a person that's just starting out at the park, that's where I started, charging $40-$60 to like, okay, hey, this is what I charge per hour, $100-something, whatever it is. But I feel that number is it fluctuates so much and it's all over the place that a lot of clients, when you present them a year price, they're like, whoa, that's expensive. But I'm like, okay, well, if you go to PT or physical therapy and you don't have insurance, because you're going to pay a copay when you leave, that bill is going to be like $300.
Yeah.
So to me, I'm like, why are you complaining about, this $100, $125, $140 session when you can't even get that unless you have insurance, and that would be another clutch thing too, if like insurance could be involved where the person can use that.
I don't know if I'd want to deal with the American insurance system.
Well, yeah, I know it's a lot of billing issues and stuff like that, but
the coverage.
The coverage, yep. I actually had a client that had that. She had like a severe injury due to a bike accident, and then she was using like insurance to pay for it. And because after rehab, which is another reason why I kind of got in the field, is that when you're finished, like let's say I tear my ACL, you go to X amount of weeks for rehab, and then after that, they're like, okay, see you later. Just continue to do those exercises, and that's it, right? So for the normal sedentary lifestyle individual, one, that doesn't happen. They don't continue to do those rehab exercises. And two, they become weaker because they're still scared and guarding, to use that knee or to load that knee. So they go to a gym and then they just sit on a machine and do reps.
And then the other side of their body starts getting fucked up.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And so I think those three things, coming out with some type of board certification, getting a better clarity on like what a personal training price really is per hour, per package. And then also just that whole thing, like maybe somehow the insurance is getting involved and assisting people in that. Because I have had people that are like, hey, I would love to afford this, but I can't. I just got out of rehab, et cetera, and I think that will go a long way because I think it'll kind of give people that are more qualified more opportunity.
Definitely.
Yeah, and I think, kind of going back to the point that you made about the wide variety of differences in prices, it's on us too, right? As the individuals, as we've already been talking about it, right? Like you need to go out and educate yourself. Mm-hmm. You need to go out and increase your own value. You can't just expect to continually, you can't expect to get to, that 150, 200, some people at $300, $350, $400 an hour when you haven't done anything to get to that point.
Yeah.
And once you get to that point, don't undervalue yourself just because someone's undercutting you with their own price. You brought up comp sessions at Equinox. We've all done them. A ton of gyms do them. The second I started my own business, I said, no more fucking comps. Mm-hmm. I'm not giving away anything for free. Mm-hmm. I might do a 2-hour assessment on you and it's going to be super in depth. You're going to be paying full value for that. Full price, whatever it may be, $350, $400, $600, and then with my session rate, like that's not changing. You're either going to pay that or you're not going to pay that. Yeah. If you want to work out something where maybe you buy a full year's package or you buy quarterly, then we can start talking about something. But you're going to invest in me because you believe in me, and then I'm going to invest in you by making sure that I'm always staying up to date with whatever I believe or whatever we come to agreement that you might need moving forward. But at no point am I going to give you anything for free because you feel like you need it for free. Yeah. Like, that's not how this is going to work.
Yeah, I mean, that's social proof, too. Like you guys were, like Mendez was saying earlier, definitely plays a factor. You know what I'm saying? It's harder when you're in, like, a big boss gym because then nobody knows who you are. The member base kind of has to learn who you are, see you on the floor training other people, Every club that I was in, after South Beach, I had clients that I was grateful enough to have clients that follow me to every club, so that kind of helped pick up business where needed, within my schedule. But yeah, man, that's social proof. And I feel exactly what you said. I think that trainers, sometimes we give away too much for free.
Definitely.
Because we really want to help the person. Number one, you can't be a trainer and not have emotions as a feeler, you know? But I think too, we kind of like give out too much information, or like, you know, we just try to push that bubble so that we can get the sale, get the close, and get them as a client. Because once they become your client, they're gonna stay with you. You know, it's the whole thing of like, with the cost. What sucks about it is that there's you won't know the difference between a personal trainer until you experience them. You know what I'm saying? Because any of us right now, you can put me, you, Mendez, in front of 25 people, and we can teach a class. You know what I'm saying? Because we've been in that, we've had those experiences, you know what I'm saying? But that's a totally different world when it comes to one-on-one training.
For sure. I got to say, I think a lot of it too, when it comes to, you know, price points and, you know, trainers who might be undervaluing themselves and giving too much free stuff, you see a lot of lack of confidence, you know, and I think that, you know, one of the things you can say is definitely that mindset has to be there. And putting it in place, you know, a boundary for yourself where you're not going to accept something, you know, when you get to that next level for yourself, knowing that you're delivering that value. There's a difference, like Josh said. If you're not delivering that value, then, you know,
you got to accept what you can get.
Exactly. You know, but if you are delivering that and you're over delivering, then you should be getting paid for that, you know, and you need to have the confidence in making sure that you can stick by those numbers firmly. Even if that person says, no, I'm not going to do it with you, well then, okay, that's fine. But you stick to your numbers so that way, you know, you stay truthful to yourself, and you feel good later on knowing that, you know, whether it was a no or yes, that you are sticking to what you're worth. You know, and I think more and more people need to realize, especially the, you know, trainers who are actually putting a lot of time into education, putting a lot of time into this field that is a tough field, you know, that you need to stick to your numbers. You need to stick to your price point, you know, and you need to also not only stick to it, but you need to realize that, you know, you might be worth more, you know, and if you're showcasing that, you know, then build that confidence up. And, you know, if a confidence is an issue, then, you know, you got to get that mindset right. You know, like Marshawn Lynch said, you got to work your mentals.
Yeah. Gotta work the mentals, man.
I mean, I think it goes back to, you know, the amount of work that you put in. You know, every year comes around, every October, every November, I start having the same conversation with my client. Get ready, guys. Your rate's about to go up. You know, and they're like, oh, fuck, my rate's going to go up. Like, I don't know. I'm like, listen, all right, I did this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and I've read this, and this, and this, and I've gone and met with these people, and this is how it's all going to help you. And then they're like, okay.
You got to show them.
You
got to show them.
You know?
And I think there's a difference, too, of like, you know, there's some coaches that have their own facilities, whether it's working with athletes or whatever it is, and they're still doing the same things that they initially learned, even if it works or not. You know what I'm saying? That's great. But you can't raise your prices if you haven't really, like, you know,
raise your value.
Raise your value, exactly. You know what I'm saying? I think that's an issue, too, that people just feel like, oh, yeah, I can charge this because, you know, I got, you know, John Wall right, or I got this person right. You know, like, yo, you got to also build your skill set and, you know, and, of course, deliver results.
What's that old saying, right? If you continue doing what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always gotten, something like that. You know, I think I butchered that, but.
Yeah, you kind of did, but it's all good.
Hey, plain and simple. We're affordable, but we ain't cheap.
Yeah. I mean, and that price point varies so much from different states too. You know what I'm saying? Like when I lived in California for a bit, I remember going like on Sundays to like the local gym there, and I'm doing like some drills on the floor just to prep for the workout. And like, yo, people literally would come up to me, hey, what are you doing over there? I tell them a little bit about what I'm doing. They're like, oh, how do I pay for that? Is it 150, 180? My last trainer charged me 180. Like here in Miami, you say 180, people are like, what?
Run for they run.
They're like, what am I paying for? You know what I'm saying? They're like, what are you paying for?
Yeah.
I'm like,
but they think they're getting this huge amount of sessions and all this other, and you're like, no, this is for a 1 hour.
Yeah. I mean, on the flip side, you know, we went to Austin one time, and I was sitting down with Sam Pogue and another one of our friends, and you know, she's from Texas, and she was talking to me, and, you know, we were talking about the different training styles and, you know, the different clientele and the different price points and stuff. And, you know, she just asked me, she's like, well, what are you charging? I was like, well, I charge 140 to 150 an hour. She's like, what? You know, like it blew her mind that I could charge that much and still be able to do, you know, 100 plus sessions a month. And I'm like, well, what do you, and mind you, you know, this in particular person is a monster on social media. Like, oh, well, like $40-$50. I'm like, you got to get the fuck out of here with that. Like, you got to stop.
Man,
you
like
got to say, so, well, I'm training, housewives and I'm doing this and that. I'm like, listen, I get that. Find some new clients. Like you love your clients. Okay. You want to stay with them. I'm not going to tell you how to run your business, but you can charge what I charge easy.
Yep.
You just got to stop.
Or upcharge them.
Or
like
upcharge
Josh
them.
and you were saying earlier, upcharge them.
Right.
Upcharge them. And she has the social proof. So there's no reason that she should back down on that price. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Our listeners right now are like, damn, these expensive ass motherfuckers.
Yeah, I know these. Yeah. Welcome to Miami.
Yeah, level up, man. Level up.
Listen, there's no state income tax here either. It's great.
Level up, man.
It's great.
I think that's a huge problem in our industry. You know what I'm saying? Especially in Miami. We live here in Brickell. There's people coming in and out of each of these buildings with different price points. Like, and then you come to them and say, yeah, this is what I charge. It's like, oh, that's a little bit outside of my range. My last trainer was charging me $40. I was like, well, hey, how did that go? Well, it was okay. I was in pain a lot, this and this, that. Well, that might be why. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You pay for what you get.
Yeah. I think too, like too many, like we were talking about before, yeah, we want to help people, but we still need to run a business. Like you need to treat how you train people like a business. You need to learn how to communicate with people about price points, about your value. You need to learn negotiating skills. Like down here in Miami, especially on South Beach, like you're talking about some of the best negotiators in the whole country. There's a reason why they're so filthy rich. They didn't get that way by getting steamrolled in every business meeting they went into. They're going in there knowing like, I'm a shark. I'm going to take your head off and I'm going to get what I want out of you. You think they're going to treat you differently as a trainer? Like every single time I get a new package or I have to go and tell someone about like, okay, listen, my rates are going to go up, or they're always like, oh, well, can't we just work out a deal where like, nah. This is the deal. You're going to pay this price.
You can afford it.
You're going to pay this price.
Need it.
You need it.
You need it. You know what I bring to the table.
You've
like
seen the results,
Right. For sure. So I think, learning how to not only be a good trainer, but if you're going to not work for a big box gym, even if you do work for a big box gym, like, we all know these big corporate gyms, they'll steamroll you if you don't have a backbone.
Oh, yeah.
Look at Equinox.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Charge,
I mean, we've been there.
Yeah. It's a numbers game, and the members have to see you, like that was one thing I never understood either, like you trying to build your business in here, you got to live here. If you ain't willing to live here, you ain't going to make it. And the beauty of being like an independent trainer and doing your own business, and if you're successful, right? Because if you're charging $40, $60, $70, like you're probably doing, 8-10 sessions a day, every single day. I don't know how long that's going to last. I've been there before, going to building, driving my beat up Jeep Cherokee, breaking down on the highway. Like, yo, that shit's a mission. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was a good time when I was in it, but I do not want to go back to that. You know what I'm saying?
I gotta ask you, Kevon, now that you said, if you want to be successful in there, you gotta live in, you're saying you gotta live in that gym and you gotta be there. How are you transitioning that mentality, that drive, that focus into your independent business now? And then on top of that, how are you, or more or less, what are you doing to maintain that same level of value that you were delivering in person with? Now, due to the situation, I'm sure you're doing some online stuff like you're saying to keep those same rates and let people know that this is your rate and you're still giving that value for it. What are you doing to be able to do that, keeping those clients at those same rates that you might have seen one-on-one, and be able to charge that because that's what you're worth?
Yeah. I mean, I think for me, coming into the independent business now and kind of just really focusing on my own vision, I'm kind of building business back up too, but I'm not really stressing it because the people that I am getting, they're willing to pay that price. They have no problem with that price point, and they're giving me referrals. You know what I'm saying? So I think that, my reputation and my name is pretty solid in the community.
You think? I know.
And I just want to be out there, at y'all level, saying social proof. But so I think the main thing right now, my focus is that social proof and having those testimonials to back it. And I think once I get a good bundle of that, like the sky's the limit from there. You know what I'm saying? I think it'll really take off. So I think for me, I'm just honing in really on the program, keeping them out of pain. Like I have a girl that's worked with several trainers in Miami, outside, and she's in the Brickell area. And she said, yeah, she liked them, things like that. But the thing was that she was always in pain or things like that. And she tells me, she's one of the girls, she just wants to build her lower body. She wants the glutes, right? Just like every other woman. But the thing about it is that she likes the fact that I correct her, that I'm always on top of her form, that I'm, coaching her different things to add into the mix when I'm not with her. You know what I'm saying? So I think right now I'm just kind of trying to build a system where I can continue to build social proof and have those testimonials, to really value what I'm delivering bring to the table.
Awesome.
On the way in here, you were talking to me about this 30-day challenge that you got going on in order to, help people understand the benefits of your online training platform that you're growing right now. Why don't you tell everyone who's going to be listening and watching to this, what's the 30-day challenge about? Why do you think that what you're doing with that is so important? And how does that translate into the online system that you've built and been building out for a while now?
Yeah, sure. I mean, to start off, I would say, like, I'm not a huge fan of challenges, because I feel like anybody could lose 10 pounds in 30 days. You just, restrict calories or use carb cycling or whatever it may be, right? Cut out the shit that you're eating. You can lose 10 pounds, right? Just cut out the sugar. But what I realize is that a lot of people will reach out. I'm sure you've gotten that too. Like, hey, can I get a program, this and this and that? But one, it is a lot of work to build a program for somebody. Sure. That's one. And then two, the person really doesn't stick with it. So I said, hey, before I start trying to really, go after online one-on-one clients, let me give people an insight of what it would look like to be with a one-on-one trainer online. So I created the 30-day challenge that is along the lines of weight loss, obviously, but it doesn't have to be. But within that challenge, the main thing that I'm trying to teach people is educate them through science and the approaches that I'm using based on my philosophies that I've used with other in-person clients, and then get them to get some results from it, but also to give them a peek and a little taste of what it would look like. Because, I feel like a lot of people, that's a whole nother world too, especially if you I had an online client, for instance, over the summer or a couple months during this pandemic, who trained with me in person. And he's like, I always give him a program that he uses when he goes away for the summer. But he was like, hey, let me try the online system on my off days to see how I like it. So he used it. He liked it. But this person's a very disciplined person. Like, I'm talking about for 3 months, every year he's gone. And he's like, hey, Kevon, where's my next 6 weeks? So I wanted to develop that 30-day challenge to kind of give people the opportunity to hold themselves, have somebody hold them accountable, build better habits, and be able to start a foundation to better their life.
How much you charging for that?
It's $99.
Woo, love it.
$99.
That's a great value right there.
Guys, you're dealing with quality here.
$99.
This ain't free. You want the results?
Yeah.
Quality.
And a lot of people are like, oh, is it free? And I'm like, well, I think I'm delivering more than I actually need to be delivering, to be honest with you. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm trying to hop on Zoom calls and I'm there by phone as much as you need me and things like that. And I'm going through the system that we're using. But yeah, I mean, I think the value that you're getting within that 30 days, you could use for the rest of your life and not even work with me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I think it's okay sometimes to give a little more value than what you think that you need to be given. We've been talking about how you need to always price out your value, but
and I'm all for that.
Right.
I don't mind giving that.
No, I mean, and I think part of it, adding that personal touch of the Zoom calls or just even text messages, where it's not, there's so many programs out there where it's literally just standardized emails getting sent out to them. And then it's like, okay, here's this stock program, or even here's this semi-personalized program. And then I'll see you in 6 weeks. I'll see you in 4 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever it is, but if you can show people that you care, listen, I don't need to be giving you this, 15, 30-minute Zoom call, but you need it. You need to hear from me in person, even if it's over the camera, that these are the things you're doing right, because that's very important that you continue those things. And here's some things that you can clean up a little bit. If they can hear that from your actual voice, it goes so much farther than if they just see it on a screen, right, in text.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, each week I have a topic that I discuss, whether that's nutrient dense versus energy dense, how to build a plate, something along the lines of building a compound effect, which is consistency really. I got every week we'll break down some topics that we speak on, because I feel like at the end of the day, it's about creating a habit. all of us here, we love working out. Yeah, there's some days that we don't want to work out, right? But
a lot of days.
A lot of days, yeah. But we've, now it's part of our lifestyle. It's not a chore. You know what I'm saying?
Well, if you live in Miami, you got to look sexy.
You got to look sexy in Miami. You got to hold that down,
I mean, if I'm going to be standing next to you, I'm going to have to work a lot fucking harder. I'm going to have to work a lot harder.
It's the skin color,
I'm gonna have to stop eating those croquetas.
Oh, my God. Man. Empanadas are killing me.
Can't get away from those.
Nah, man.
Yo, Kevon, I got to ask you, man, something that popped up in my head. What are you doing differently coaching-wise? For coaching your in-person clients and now coaching your online clients, what does that kind of coaching look like? What are things that you've kept, but things that also you've changed to be able to deliver that value through an online format?
Sure, man. I mean, I think online, since it's so, it's a little bit more remote. And I know a lot of people are doing like 1 million virtual sessions and things like that. And that's great. I think virtual sessions are good for people too. But I do think that it's harder for a trainer that's really been there one-on-one to like, okay, you can't use tactile cues. It's a little bit different for you. So with the online system, pretty much what I did was took basically how I write programs within an in-person, right? From the warm-up to the end of the session. I basically just built a catalog of exercises, and I just broke it down, from ground-based warm-ups to dynamic warm-ups to corrective mobility drills, core. I have everything. So, and I'm just building that library. And it's something that I've been wanting to do for a long time. So once I build out their program, it's literally that structure.
Wow.
I don't bend because that person's like, oh, I just like warming up on the treadmill for 15 minutes. I make every single person do that, even within this channel, in the challenge. It's a 2-day workout for the week, but it's exactly structured how I would do an in-person session.
You hold them to that standard, right?
To the standard,
I think again, right, kind of going along the lines of everything in the industry, there's not enough trainers, coaches, registered dietitians, whoever it is in health and wellness, setting that standard and saying, listen, you either need to rise to this standard or we're not going to be able to work together because, like you said, like I need you to be just as committed as I'm going to be. Yeah. I always tell my clients, like, I'll match whatever commitment you have and add 10 to 15%, right? Because that's my job. But if you don't put in 100%, you're damn well sure not going to expect me to put in 100%. Yeah.
And you get clients like that, what I'm saying? So I think with online, it's even harder. Like you had a good point earlier, Mendez, where you were saying that now the person's spending money, so they're going to be like, oh my God, I paid for this. I got to do it. You know what I'm saying? And it's a very, it's not a comfortable world for us as far as like online coaching goes. But yeah, I mean, I think you got to really build that habit and deliver 100%. So they understand like, hey, I'm here for you, but I need you to do this work too. And if you don't do this work, it ain't going to work for you. You're just going to shit your money. You know what I'm saying?
I definitely think we can all agree here that the times that we've invested into something, it puts your back against the wall now because there's a huge accountability factor, especially when you're throwing a few grand in there. On whether it's a search showing up, whether it's whatever. If you're investing in a coach, it's just gonna make you now show up. And I think that's why the sometimes when the free factor kicks in, it really throws off that accountability portion of it because it's free. Oh, okay, well, great. I'll get to it. I'll get around to it, and then you half-ass it, and then nothing happens. When you pay for something, it just really increases the percentage of getting those results by a lot more because, now you have something there that you had to put forward for an exchange, so there's an exchange going on right there. And I think that's what's one of the things that's super important for people to realize, that it's not only because, you're paying all this, is more because this is going to hold you accountable for the results you want.
Yeah. It's crazy you say that because there's like some online coaches that I've been in communication with, and they're doing high ticket programs, delivering a lot of value. And I'm like, yo, how are they charging this much? They're not even in person. And that's what their thought process is. Their thought process is like, no, with an in-person client, they know that they have to show up 3 times a week. But with an online program, they know they have to show up for themselves, and I'm like trying to get used to that because I'm like, that's a little bit different for us. We're very hands-on. We've been there for the person, and I'm not saying that every in-person trainer is texting them, hey, how are you? Hey, let me see your meals. per day. I know trainers aren't doing that, and that's why they're charging $40-$50. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
But I know that the level that we're delivering, that's what we're doing. That's what we've been doing for years, and I know that's why we've been flourishing in the industry.
I think that's something that we're always going to have to battle with in the fitness industry, right? Like, we're one of the only professions where you pay me and then you literally have to do 95% of the work. I can tell you the steps that you need to do to be successful, but at the end of the day, like, I can't be the one putting food in your mouth or keeping food out of your mouth. I can't be the one setting your alarm at nighttime so you wake up for your 6 a.m. session. I can't be the one that tells you that you need to be, like, I can be the one telling you that you need to be doing all of this extra homework stuff, but I'm not going to be in your home at 8 p.m. when you finish work, you know, teaching you or walking you through all these shoulder molds. You know, like, I also have other people I need to. You need to take responsibility for your life. And I think, you know, in general, with how things are with our culture nowadays, you know, it's like there's so much deflection of responsibility on the individual. And it's something that, you know, I know the three of us have really prided ourselves on, is that we make it an emphasis to let them know right from the beginning, right? You're paying a lot of money because we're going to make sure that you understand that it's on you.
Yeah.
You know, you have to be the one to change your life.
That's what it comes down to, you know? And that's another thing, too. We kind of touched on that earlier that I wanted to say, is that exercise, for some reason, is you can get results so many different ways. You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of myths that have been busted over the years. You know what I'm saying? Don't eat carbs after night.
No eggs.
You know, eggs. You got to do cardio every single day to lose weight.
Atkins diet's the way to go.
You know, Atkins diet, you know, all these different things. But it's the lifestyle, right? It's developing a lifestyle. And it sucks for us, and I feel for us all the time, you know, is that, and I hope that I can drive that home in the industry, is that, you know, again, we're the coach. You know what I'm saying? The workouts that you've been doing from 1980, 1990, I'm not saying it's bad, and I'm not saying that I don't throw some lateral raises in once in a while, but, yo, there's so much other things that you could do that's more bang for your buck and for your time.
Definitely. And, you know, talking about that and what Josh was saying, I think we can all agree here, too, with these clients who, you know, we're not going to be here till 8 o'clock at night and tell you to do all this, all that, you know.
Now we got lives.
We got lives too, you know, and we've given you all the tools. We've given you what you need to do. Now you need to address it as well yourself, because the way I like to put it is, you're the car, the client's the car, and we're the GPS of the car. You know, we're here to navigate you to where you need to go and hit your final destination. But if you're taking the car and turning it wherever you want to go, then those are the results you're going to get.
Yeah.
You know, so here you go. We're laying it out. You just got to apply it.
Yeah.
You know, and you're in control. Just let us guide you.
Yeah, that's
you
all
know,
it is.
plain and simple. Just let us guide you. You know, and we want you to be in control because you are your person.
Yeah.
You know, and honestly, I think that's also too where the trust factor kicks in.
Yeah, for sure. We can't tell how the person's feeling inside, you know what I'm saying? And that's the other thing that's, like, a little scary to me, too, when it comes to, like, exercise. Like, there's people that are, like, beginning of the year, oh, New Year's resolution, what am I doing? I'm going to go run. I'm going to run every single day on US Wood, Biscayne, South Beach, and burn these miles.
Josh,
right?
we're going to go running?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, every time this dude's like, we're going to go for a run. Like, oh, yeah.
No running for you, bro.
I mean, I'll hit some sprints if you're going to pay me to run with you. You know, like, I got clients that love to run sprints.
Damn, you really gonna plug that?
You
want to get paid for everything.
I got clients that love to run sprints. I'm like, all right, I'll run with you. Yeah, because I'll dust you, you know, keep you motivated. I'm going to be getting that stack with it.
Oh man, that's hilarious.
Listen, man, we all gotta have some sort of motivation to do something.
No, what's the why behind it? If you don't know your why, then you ain't definitely gonna get to that goal. You know what I'm saying? But you know, that's what people want to do. They want to go and run. So they run the whole month of January. They lose some weight, more water weight than anything. Then the February comes around. What's happening? My knees bother me. My back's bothering me.
I'm gonna take a couple weeks off.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a couple weeks off and I'm gonna get back to
back.
it. And then I'll bounce back. And then they never bounce back, right? Because really, your body wasn't prepared to run. You ain't ran in years. What makes you think you could get up and go run now and be good?
Pound that pavement.
You know, plyometrics on steroids.
Yeah.
You know? So I think that's where we come in, and I hope that, you know, over time that the industry will see that as we are a credible and create something for us. I think that's a tough thing for trainers, man.
Yeah. I mean, hey man, we hit an hour, dude.
Damn,
Went by fast, Before we get done, I'm sure Mendes has a question to ask you, but why don't you let everyone know where they can find you? Instagram, Facebook. I know you got a lot going on, so.
All right, cool. So I'm Kevon Daley, Coach K. You can find me on Instagram at Daily Fitness with 3 S's. I got a Twitter, Daily Fitness. Kind of use that a lot of times for some educational stuff. But just reach out to me. I'm in Miami, Florida. I live in Brickell, and this is my home. I grew up in the city of Miami, Florida, 3 or 5 Dade County all day. So
I kind of feel like a outsider, with these 2 Miami boys.
Yeah, right, man. I love you now, bro. I love you.
You're already in Miami.
You already.
Yeah, I've been here 7 years. I guess that counts.
You're pretty much blended in now. You in the water.
I started dating all those Latin women now.
Oh yeah. So you already know what
Now
time
it's
it
over.
is. But yeah, man, appreciate you guys having me. I mean, I'm here to help the world, help others and grow. That's what it's about, and I think that me just being in the industry of fitness has really improved my life, even with confidence and just who I am, being able to do things like this. I can never imagine in my life that I would be sitting next to 2 people and really speaking and trying to kind of be comfortable. So yeah, I mean, I really love the game and I'm never going to stop.
Guys, you got to make sure to check out his 30-day challenge.
Yes, sir.
But before we jump off,
Yeah.
I got 2 quick questions for you.
Oh yeah.
What's the biggest piece of advice you can leave off to our listeners that are listeners who are possibly interested in getting into health and fitness and looking to step up their life? And then for listeners who are coaches, what's the biggest piece of advice that you can give them? Boom.
Okay. So for those that are starting in the industry, obviously there's a lot of credible certifications, but look beyond the certification. You know what I'm saying? Like, what is your interest and what do you really like? Like, if you have a nutrition interest and you like foodie and you're a foodie, then hey, really dive deep into the science behind that and how it affects the energy systems. If you're, speed agility guy or whatever it is, just really dig deep in your craft, continue to educate yourself each year, make it a point, that when you're making enough money that you use, every month or every couple of months, a weekend where you go and you take a kind of a vacation, but education, you know what I'm saying? And you use that time to kind of learn and check out a different city or state. That was something that I was driven to do. And that helped me tremendously, and also just take it day by day and build your business from there. For those that are already coaches, get around more coaches, get around some smart coaches. I would say continue to educate yourself. And I would also say at this time, just even using myself as an example, there's a lot of way to make income in this industry and make an impact in the industry. And you can do a lot of different things, but don't sell your soul. You know what I'm saying? Be who you are. Things will happen for you eventually. Just keep that kind of mind state and just keep pushing forward.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's a great one. We appreciate the hell out of you, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, my brother.
Until next time, guys.
All right.
We're out.
Woo!
Deuces.